Hello and welcome to the show. I love scrolling through my phone in my GroupMe communities and seeing what my clients are posting. And I love the emojis and the icons too. As I'm flipping through here, it just gets me really excited when I see things like, I just finished eating an energy giving breakfast slowly, so I'm off to a good start. Exercise was really good yesterday. Today I'm focused on eating energy giving foods. And then I love all the like hearts and the celebration emojis and the laughing, crying, happy emojis, all the stuff. Here's another one. It's been good. I followed through with my action steps, and we've got all of the like celebration signs and everything. It's so fun and energizing to flip through and see people taking small positive steps in their life and celebrating it and seeing that actually doing the small things, taking the small steps really adds up over time. And I love to see that people are celebrating that. Focus on the positive. And yes, in my community, in my coaching programs, in the GroupMe app, we're not shying away from obstacles that we have because that comes up, but we are always refocusing back on the positive. What action did I take? And celebrating that. And so in this week's episode, we're going to talk about how to do that, how to balance your thoughts about the actions that you're taking so that you can get better results. So let's dive in. In this episode, we're going to talk about how to get some balance back in our lives, specifically in our thoughts. When we notice things tipping to the negative, right? Whether that's with the lifestyle changes we're trying to make with our health, or our general life goals, or our general mood. I know it can be so easy for me to focus on the negative, the problem, the what's not going well, what didn't go well in the past, and what might not go well in the future. What I don't like about my body, my hair, my job, right? It's easy to see the negative, the what's wrong. Actually, I think we're wired that way to protect us from danger, right? Like our ancestors walking through the forest looking for something to eat, and they ate, some plant or mushroom, and it made them sick. So the next time they went walking through the forest, it's like, whoops, I can't eat that. That made me sick. Like we need to notice the things that might cause us harm. It's easier to notice the negative, right? There's a part of our brain that's designed to keep us safe and to notice these things. If you listen to the news, for example, I think that can seem like the bulk of the news report. The negative, things to alert us to potential danger in our lives. The news is mostly alerting us to what's gone wrong. At least that's what I remember it doing when I used to listen to it or watch it. I don't anymore. I rely on my husband to tell me anything that I need to know that's going on in the world. That's just me. Also, in my work as a speech pathologist, I'm trained to analyze and work to help people with communication impairments, to listen to a child's speech and figure out what's wrong with it that prevents people from understanding the child so I can help them. My clients come to me with a problem, a communication delay, or a disability, and I carefully assess it and provide treatment. Yes, a part of this is also analyzing what they can do, what is working with their communication skills. But during my work as a speech pathologist, my clients and their families didn't come to me unless they were concerned about something. Something is not quite right. So my first step is to notice what's wrong, right? My health and life coaching clients come to me because they want to improve some area. They want more energy because they don't have much. They want to sleep better. They want to form habits around something. They want to change jobs, start a business, take more time for themselves. So there's something they're not completely happy with or something they want more of and want to see some improvement in. So again, we're starting with something that's not quite right or that they want to improve. And I help them take small steps towards a transformation to get more of something, to get a result, to move from where they are to where they want to be. So I help people in everything that I do as a professional, whether that's as the work I do now as a speech pathologist, which is very minimal, the work I do as a health and life coach, and the work I do as an academic advisor in a university setting. So I help people. That's the bottom line. But this involves helping them with obstacles, right? Dealing with the negative, if you will, and balancing their health and lives. So noticing the negative, what's wrong, and how can we fix it? Whether that's as a speech pathologist or as a coach. It is necessary for all of us to put that lens on from time to time, obviously, right? What's wrong, what's not going well, so that we can move forward to help balance it or fix it or see the right strategies. But we must be careful not to stay there, not to stay in the always noticing what's wrong. Even if it's, I need to notice what's wrong so I can improve it. I need to be mindful of how much of the fix it, the what's not right with the situation, that I don't stay in it too long, right? So let's balance the negative with the positive. And that balancing, getting some positive back in, that is going to help us get better results. If we're always focused on, my stomach's too flabby, I don't have the career I want, I'm not sleeping, if we're always focusing on the what is not going well, we're going to get more of the what's not going well. We're going to see more of the things that we don't like. So we need to get some balance in. Just make sure we're balancing the negative with the positive. I'm not saying let's push the negative down and never experience negativity. That's not healthy and that's just not realistic. I'm not walking around in la la land ignoring the negative, but let's balance it with some positive. We all are wired, I think, to see the negative, to see the potential danger. So we have to be mindful about adding in the positive. Balance the negative and the positive. How do we do that? How do we balance our thoughts? How do we get balance back in our actions? Step one is to just be aware that we are not in balance in the first place, that we have shifted to the negative as our default. I went for years not realizing how out of balance I was with the little things in my health until being slightly out of balance with the little things in my health over time created some big issues, right? So it's easy to do. It's easy to get into the little negative thoughts. And once we're there, if we don't stop and check ourselves, we can spiral. I know I can. I get a few negative thoughts going, a few little crabby moments, and it just grows, right? Misery loves company, I guess. You just keep on complaining. And again, I'm talking about the little things here because I think those things go unchecked and really add up. I have a 6-week stress management course and program where I focus on our little stressors, not the big issue stressors, but the little stressors, getting those little stressors a little more under control. So here I want to focus on the subtle negative thoughts about the little things, because I feel like keeping those in check helps save some of our mental energy for the bigger issues, right? Because we're going to have bigger issues. So kind of that don't sweat the small stuff phrase, right? But first, we have to recognize that we are, in fact, sweating the small stuff and getting negative, like acknowledging that even the small negative comments are negative. Now, let's be clear that what seems like a mild negative thought or reaction to some may be perceived as big to the others. So that's where you have to step back and think about yourself. We all know our little negative thoughts that we have, our little negative stories that go through our mind. Let's be mindful, right? How many negative thoughts or crabby comments have I had in the last week? How many negative thoughts and crabby comments have I had in the last day? How many negative thoughts and crabby comments have I had in the last hour? Boy, I was on a roll last Saturday. I don't know. I was just complaining about everything. Now, these were not big complaints. I think I noticed a stain on my favorite shirt, which is pretty common with me because I can be a pretty messy eater. What else wasn't going right? Oh, I actually noticed a hole in my shirt. So I guess this all means I need to go shopping. But I had these little annoyances. I think I dropped something or spilled something. I think it was drizzling outside. It was raining. And I was just on some rant. Oh, and then I added in oh my gosh, I have these bifocal contacts and I still can't see. I have to wear these cheap cheater glasses I got from Target and there's something peeling on them and they're scratched. I mean, just negative, crabby one after the other. And I was really spiraling. And I don't know if you do that, but it was really I was going all in. And then I think my poor husband walked in the room and said something and I was like, and you need to, it was just going. So I needed to realize, or he needed to call me out on it. Okay, you're do you have anything good to say? So being mindful of that we're having these negative thoughts, that we're spiraling. Again, I'm talking about the small things. Let's focus on the small things. So then we have to step back and go, okay, how many positive and uplifting thoughts have I had in the last week? How many positive and uplifting thoughts have I had in the last day? How many positive and uplifting thoughts have I had in the last hour? And for me, last Saturday morning, I mean, I was going pretty strong probably for an hour on just the negative. So being mindful of that, not judgmental, right? We don't judge, just like we don't judge if we ate something we didn't plan on eating or, we don't get into that judgy shame. That's not helpful. Just acknowledge it. Oh, you know what? I guess for the last 30 minutes, I've really been on a rant. How many negative thoughts or comments have I made about my appearance, my job, the weather in the last few hours? Just noticing when the teeter-totter, right, is tipping the other way, or your needle is tipping more towards the negative than the positive. What we give our attention to increases. What we give our attention to increases. Even for the little things, people. So once I started getting on my rant about my hair and my contacts and the stain on my shirt and the weather, it just kept increasing until I stopped. Or actually, I think my husband was like, well, you're in a good mood. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. I need to, get in check here. So, okay, it's pretty easy for us to get clear on what's wrong, right? We can even dump it all out, which again, I think is healthy, right? Let me just brain dump, which is what I was doing. Okay, this is everything that I'm annoyed with right now. But then let's just follow up, people. Let's not leave it there. But what's right in my life? What's right in this moment? What's right about my body? What's right about my health? What's right and good about my job? Or about the weather? It could always be worse, right? How many grateful thoughts have I had in the last week? How many grateful thoughts have I had in the last 20 minutes? How much good am I noticing in the world? So going back to, our ancestors walking through the forest and, oh, I ate this mushroom last time I walked through here and I got sick. So I'm watching out for that mushroom. But as I'm walking through the forest, am I also noticing the beautiful leaves or how calm I felt the last time I walked through the forest? Or am I so focused on the negative? And again, it protects us, right? But how much good am I noticing in myself? How much good am I noticing in others? The little things, right? What do I have instead of what am I lacking? In the US, every year around Thanksgiving, we think about being grateful and thankful. We have so many, that month of November. I think that's probably why Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays because I get together with family and friends. There's no stress. Again, I put it on myself about buying someone the perfect gift or trying not to lose sight of the true meaning. Thanksgiving, it's just fun, right? It's being thankful, it's being grateful, and thinking of creative ways to do that. So for the past several years, I've had this board, and when people come over, and I have family and friends over at Thanksgiving, it's just an open house situation. And yes, we're grateful and thankful for the big things, and it sounds cliche, but my family, my friends, my health, and yes, let's be thankful for that. Let's mention that. But also I have this board and we put Post-it notes on it for other things that we're thankful for. And it can be silly little things that we laugh about. And that you start noticing more of that. You feel good. So where's my Thanksgiving gratitude the other 364 days a year? Balance the thoughts. Not live in la la land, but balance the thoughts. Last episode, I talked about manifestations, and before that, I talked about our thoughts. So let's add gratitude for the big things, but also for the small things too. I like listing in my head or on paper the little things I'm grateful for and why. I mean, even the smallest things, like I went and turned on water and water came out of my faucet so that I could make my tea. Or the food that I put down my drain went down my drain, right? A year or so ago, we had this major kitchen sink backup. And thankful for friends that are plumbers and, that can come over and help us. But those little things, right? Like, oh, I turned on the water and my sink is functioning this morning, right? Now, many people talk about keeping a gratitude journal, and that's great. And I've done that before, but I don't really stick to it, or I don't think I really resonate with doing it. Again, I'm not judging. If you do that, that's great. We all have to find out what works for us. For me, I noticed when I was sitting down doing my gratitude journal, it was usually during my peaceful morning, right? Or calm, in the comfort of my home, or in the comfort of my favorite coffee shop, where it was easy to be in a place of gratitude, right? I've got my gratitude journal. I've got my chai tea latte. I'm not at work. It's a Saturday morning, or, it's before work and I'm in the calm of my home. That was great. And that's good. But then I noticed as soon as I left and got in the middle of my everyday rat race of my day, whatever I wrote in my gratitude journal 4 hours before might as well have been out the window because I was already noticing the negative and getting caught up in that, right? Like when there's traffic or I'm late for work or there's a train or I get a snotty email from someone that I'm serving or, whatever it might be. Like those little things are happening in my circumstances, but I did my gratitude journal 4 hours ago. No, bring the gratitude journal back up into my mind in the middle of someone cutting me off in traffic or someone sending me the snotty email. So I'm usually always in a position of service, which I love, service of others, whether that's as an academic advisor now, as a speech pathologist, as a coach, I'm here to serve others. But sometimes in that serving others, you're going to get some pushback, right? You're going to get people that aren't happy with you. You're going to get pushback at work. We all do, whether we're in some sort of service industry or not. What happens when we encounter someone rude? What happens if I spill my lunch on the floor? What happens if my computer stalls? What happens if I pee my pants because I laughed too hard? Oh, yeah, that's real, people. How do I respond? So I like to see the humor in things, in case you can't tell, to balance that out, right? Because it's really easy to get irritated that if I clear my throat or laugh and I have something in my bladder, yeah. Those of you listening that are female and of a certain age, you get it. Which I want to take a sidestep here and thank all the people that are listening to this who aren't female or aren't middle-aged. And because I'm kind of going against the grain here when everybody in marketing says you need to niche down and get a very small audience. I'll take anybody. Because I think we can all benefit from taking simple steps to a healthier, more balanced life. So I'm excited when I've had a couple guys reach out and say, I'm really enjoying your podcast. Or if I have 20-somethings and 30-somethings listening to my podcast, or 60-somethings. I don't care how old you are, or if you are male or female, if you're getting something out of this. So I'm going against the grain. I'm not going to niche down. So actually, if you enjoy this show and you're not a middle-aged woman, yay, reach out and let me know. Anyway, what if I pee my pants because I laughed too hard? Things are going to happen, right? These little annoyances, the subtle negative vibes or feelings, right? The hot flash burning through my body, the unexpected expense for a car repair that I didn't see coming, right? When these daily negatives start piling up, I need to add some intentional positive thoughts. And intentional, right? Because yes, our mind is not naturally going to go to the positive when it's like, oh, my mechanic just called and said, I need a new transmission and it's $800. Oh, but the sun is shining today. It's beautiful, right? We're going to have to be intentional about making sure that we try to add some positive in. Break up the negativity. Bring our cortisol levels back down. That's what it is, people, right? We're not just talking about random sunshiny thoughts, but this affects our brain. This affects our physical body. Even these little things. So I can joke about it, but yes, we need to get balance. Balance left unchecked when it's going to the negative or I'm amped up with a little extra cortisol, over time is going to have effects. I'm convinced it sent me into early menopause, weight issues, everything. Bring our cortisol levels back down. What we give our attention to increases. So we need, while we can't always control our circumstances, we can't control our circumstances. We can't control others. Believe me, I try, or I used to really try. We can only control our responses. When life's circumstances get you in a negative spiral, which it'll happen, right? It's fine. Let's just be real. Notice it. Don't just push it aside. Notice it, feel it, but then add some better thoughts in the middle of the moment or when you can get yourself out of it, right? Like, oh, okay, the $800 on the van. Okay, wasn't expecting that. Let's balance that out. At least I have a van, right? I have a job that can pay for it, whatever. In the middle of the moment. How do we do this? Because again, it's not going to be our habit. Our habit to protect ourselves is to go to the negative. So for me, I make lists. I write things on note cards. I put notes in my phone. I stop in the moment and list things in my head when I start to notice the negative or when someone points it out to me. We call each other out, right? We definitely need to do that. My husband should call me out more on whoa, you're getting a little negative. So I'm not talking about denying our feelings or living in la la land, but having balance. I need to balance my complaining with something good, right? So I have the Calm app. It's an app that's subscription-based. It has meditations and little master classes. I love it. If you also have the Calm app, reach out and let me know. Tamara Levitt does a lot of the meditations, and she also has a class on gratitude. And in it, she gives some really great practical ways to use gratitude in our life. And in several of my courses and coaching programs, I have specific modules and lessons on gratitude from all of the great things that she's talked about. So go out and grab my coaching courses and programs if you want to dive into that a little deeper. But it's powerful stuff, people. And for the little things, right? I'm grateful for my socks that kept my feet warm instead of they're starting to get a hole in them. I'm grateful for my eyes that help me see my loved ones and flowers. Not the, oh my gosh, I have to wear bifocal contacts and even with them, I can't see and I need my Target cheaters. But hey, I have eyes that can see. I'm grateful for my job that gives me money to buy food. Not always I have too much paperwork and tasks to do and I'm getting burnt out. It's okay to have those thoughts and to feel it and to see what I could do to change that, but also let me balance that with how I'm grateful for my job. It gives me money. It's okay to see and deal with the negative, but let's balance it out with some positives. I'm grateful for the sunset, the washing machine, the music I can play on my phone, the smell of rain, a hot bath. In that moment, just stop yourself and list off 3 things in your head. Do this several times a day so that you can get that balance back. How? Well, it's like following through with the action that I talked about in previous episodes. Your action step might be to stop 3 times during your workday and list 3 things in your head that you're grateful for, or write them down, or to read your affirmation that we talked about in a previous episode. How will you set yourself up for success? What might get in your way? Use what I've talked about in previous episodes to follow through, or join a coaching program and I'll help you with it. But start checking your thoughts and intentionally, that's what it has to be, intentionally adding some positive thoughts. Some thoughts that better serve you about your body, about your sleep, about your job. I'm not saying ignore the negative and push it aside, but balance it. We don't need a reminder usually to be negative and crabby, but we do need a reminder to be positive on purpose to get that balance. So step 1, notice if and when you're starting to have more negative and little crabby thoughts. Don't judge yourself or try to push them away. Feel it, acknowledge it, but follow up with something you are grateful for, something that is going well. Now, you're going to need to practice this, but over time, you'll see a difference. I take time to stop in my day and listen to something funny on YouTube, or to listen to a song, or to take a walk, or text a funny emoji to a friend. Like when I've gotten like 5 or 6 like crabby emails or people needing something, I will stop. It only takes 10 seconds, right? It only takes me like 2 minutes to listen to some funny Kevin Hart thing. But balance, that's all we want. Sometimes the teeter-totter will be heavy on the side of negative, but that's just life's circumstances. When that happens, grab any small positive you can to move your needle back a little bit. What we give our attention to increases. So I'm going to go set my phone to notify me at 3 p.m. this afternoon. That's usually when I'm starting to get a little crabby. That I'm going to stop and list 3 things that are going well. Right? And actually, one of them is going to be you, the listener, this podcast. I'm grateful for you. If you've been enjoying the show or I've gotten any value out of it at all, I have an ask. Share the show with someone. Hit subscribe or follow and share it with someone. I am on a mission. Yes, I'm building a business and looking to get revenue from that business. But in a bigger sense, I'm on a mission to help people take simple steps to living healthier, more balanced lives. Balance your thoughts for better results. And remember, keep it simple, keep it real, and stay balanced. I'll catch you next week.